Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, are we y'all ready? Please welcome Daniel.
Have you ever felt hunger? True hunger. For 18 months, I was homeless. On January the 5th this year, I woke up and I was hungry, hungrier than I had ever been before. It felt like my body was eating itself. And I thought, why am I so hungry? And I looked back and I realized that the last time when I'd eaten a full meal was on December the 23rd. So it had been however many days that was. I am now on a mission to influence the influencers. And I'm going to tell you the story of how I became homeless, how I got out of homelessness, and how I now have become limitless. Research shows us that 6% of homeless are the people that you see on the streets, the people who are sleeping on cardboard boxes and things. They account for 6% of homeless. The other 94% of people who are homeless are people who are bouncing around from couch surfing or in violent or potentially violent accommodation, people who don't have stable or strong accommodation. Now, for the first 15 months of my time homeless, I was in that group. And the reason I got into that is because with the support of my partner of 3 years at that time, we agreed that it was a good idea for me to finally get around to pursuing charges against a family member. This family member happened to also be my landlord, and they evicted me from the family home. And as a result of that, at the same time that was happening, I broke up with that partner. Then, over the months that followed, I was mugged by one gang, and on the same night, a different gang were trying to lure me to kill me. The number of things which I experienced are too many to even recall at the one time. But it got to the darkest point when I was working in Geelong. I was involved in the mental health community down there while homeless. But what happened was I received a death threat. And it was a death threat. There was nothing that the police could do about it. And their advice was that the best thing I could do would be to get out of town, which is what I did. And at that point, I reached my deepest, darkest moment. I was ready to end myself. And it was then, right at that darkest moment, that I made a new friend, Thomas, who was also homeless, and he took care of me in a way that nobody else had. He didn't know me, he was a friend of a friend, but he provided for me. He took care of me, kept me safe physically. He made sure I had food, he made sure that I had somewhere to sleep. Every night he looked after me and took care of me and made sure that I was safe. And more importantly than that, he knew that I was ready to end myself, and he said, I want to give you reasons to go on with. I want you to get back to the point where you're ready to live. And I wouldn't be standing here today if not for him. And then through having an experience with DMT, which is the most intense psychedelic in existence, which has a 10,000 plus year history of enabling breakthroughs in spirituality, but also through science and different fields, I was able to bounce forward and come out of that in a way which I hadn't before. At the start of this year, on that January the 5th, when I hadn't eaten that time, I weighed 106 kilos on that day. I clearly do not weigh that now. My physiological my biomarkers are better than they have ever been. I am here to tell you that the big goals that you have, and everybody here has a big goal, but your big goals are realistic. Your big realistic goals are here. Where I want to get you to is up here into the impossible, because if you're alive, there is a bigger game you can play than anything you've conceived of yet, and you know it's deep down there at your core. Your divine destiny is there for you, waiting to unleash. And I can show you that. I can get you to that point. And I'm doing that with Thomas. Thomas, who helped me and looked after me on the streets, he is now the CEO and founder of Limitless Shoes, which is a youth homelessness project based in Geelong to provide the three things which homeless people need the most but are provided the least, which is shoes, socks, and self-respect. So Thomas has come out. Thomas is 23, and he is, he epitomizes that. You would never see him in a suit. You would see him in his hip-hop gear, with low riding and everything like that. But he can do that. He's gotten in touch now with his divine destiny, with what he's there, and he's moving toward that, because it's not enough just to get you up to here and show you up here. I need to be able to get you from here, your big realistic goal, to there. And it doesn't take any more time or energy or passion or commitment than what you're already going to be putting in. So I invite you to join with me and to become limitless.
Daniel, this is what I can tell you. The speaking bureaus, the whole professional speaking circuit will love you. I mean, seriously, they will love you. You are just so interesting, and you are genuine, and you've been where very few people ever go. And you've emerged, and you look and sound sensational. And so from this moment, Daniel, I want you to start seeing yourself, as in from now, when you get off that stage, you will now describe yourself as a professional speaker. Are you internalizing that?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, professional speaker, Daniel.